Well, we're still going to stay on this, and we're going, Mr. Kenugwechi sets the agenda in the agricultural sector. A lot of people would say that the country, Nigeria, has a lot of potentials, untapped potentials in the area of agriculture. And so let's speak with a farmer now. He calls himself a farmer. Mr. Tunde Banjoko is the managing director of Motunde Banjoko Farms. And he also joins us this morning virtually to share his expectations and thoughts as he goes out to choose a governor tomorrow. Since he resides in Lagos, but I mean, farmers everywhere in the country, 28 states to be precise, will be choosing who their governors will be for the next 4 years. So Mr. Banjoko, thank you so much for your time this morning. Let's start by asking you what you expect that you think can make your life as a farmer easier and other farmers as well.
I think as a Nigerian and somebody who has lived all my life in this country and looking at what has been happening in the recent months, things are really not the way we expect them to be, especially in terms of food production. So some of my expectations, for example, I'll be looking at this new administration paying attention to our cost of inputs. The cost of input has gone by almost 300% in the last 2 years. So I'll expect them to start looking at how can we start working on all these prices of commodity that directly influence our cost of production, so that we can have the best of price in the market now. Some of the input we used to buy for 2,000 are going for as high as 6,000. So the expectations are high. I will expect both at the state level, at the federal level, for us to start looking at how can we bring down this cost. So that's one major area that I think is affecting the cost of food we all buy in the market. So, I mean, some other areas where I will also be expecting them to work on, both at the state and at the federal level, we are still struggling with multiple taxation, even as farmers, moving your commodity from the farm to where it's being sold or to your off-takers. You hear this state telling you this tax is to this state, this tax is for this is for goods, this is for that. And at the end of the day, you see yourself spending so much, even on transportation and logistics. And maybe closely related to that, I want us to start talking seriously about the insecurity in the country, because that has affected our production. A lot of farmers are probably not motivated to go to their farms. A lot of farmers have abandoned their farms. Those who probably go in some part of the country need to pay to, the enemies of the state before they can go to their farms. So these are serious concerns that this new administration needs to pay attention to. And it must be seen as being done, not just a lip service or just comment, but people need to now be comfortable going to their farms, because the more people run away from their farms, the lower the food available for the population, the lower the amount of food that can be moved to the market. So we now have to seriously work on our insecurity issues, pay attention, mobilize the right people, equip them, our security agencies with the right equipment, and get them even accountable, because some of them have also been found culpable in this act and all that. So, and then we also need to start reviving some of our farm estates that have been moribund for years. We need to start reviving some of them now. Some of them all scattered all over the country. We need to start reviving some of these moribund farm estates that were designed to boost internal food production. So these are some of the areas. And then, of course, the cost of diesel also is one thing that has also influenced our production. I don't know how we can manage that aspect, even though I know it has some international influence, but we need to now look at how locally we can start influencing the cost of diesel because it's affecting our bottom line in terms of production. So those are some of the key areas that I think this new administration, both at the state and at the federal level, needs to pay attention to.
All right, Mr. Banjoko, let me just plead with you to hold on for a couple of minutes. Well, let's get back to our conversation. You know, it's election period, so it takes priority, whatever we have from the field there, to keep you updated on what's going on towards the elections holding tomorrow. That takes priority. But, I mean, this also matters. We had, before we took Kelvin there, the managing director of Motunde Banjoko Farms, Mr. Tunde Banjoko, telling us the farmers' expectation from the incoming administration. So, Mr. Banjoko, thank you so much for your patience. Now, I'll just let you go in a couple of minutes. After you've told us this issue of threats to food security, how real is it?
When we look at the data available in the last 8, 9, 10 years, our food insecurity level has been going up. I think it's around 33% now. So it's a cause of concern to anyone. And it's something that is evident also that we can see. And with even this present cashless policy that has not been well executed, it's like it's been worsened than what it was before now. So it's a reality that we see every day. We see people going hungry and the numbers keep increasing. You know, funny enough, when you even look at the data, you assume it's probably only in the rural areas, but even in the city, food insecurity is real and people are, I mean, they can attest to it. But we can work around it. It's not impossible. We have over 84 million hectares of arable land in Nigeria, and we are just cultivating less than 50% of that. So it's something, we have the technical know-how, we have the manpower, we have those that can, and we have all it takes to produce enough to feed ourselves. So it's something we can definitely work around. If some of the items I raised earlier on, the multiple taxation, insecurity, cost of inputs, if all these things are attended to, I'm sure in the next few months, and if we start prioritizing the right commodities, there are some trigger commodities like maize, for example, maize, wheat, rice. If we start prioritizing some of these product commodities, it will change the dynamics of what we are facing at the moment very fast. You look at the impact on egg, the poultry sector. These are some of the things. How many people can now afford even the, you know, before now we say the egg is the cheapest source of protein for an average person. But that's no longer the reality. The egg is no longer the cheapest source of protein anymore. And, you know, funny enough, some months back, what people assume to be their source of protein in our own language in Nigeria, the government said they are banning that because they need it in the leather industry. So you realize even the little, and people are saying even that 0.004 protein in palm, give it to us, leave it to us, because that's the only thing we can afford. So we should just start working on these things, and then, but the level of food insecurity is so high, and it's scary for some of us. It's very scary, very scary.
All right.
Done about it.
Yeah, well, we do hope that as the new governors or retained governors get back to work after the elections, that they will prioritize the issue of food security. Thank you so much, Mr. Tunde Banjoko, the managing director of Motunde Banjoko Farms. When we